Virtual reality at its finest. The chance to meet new friends and new foes to battle to the top in a world in which one's imagination could only wish to conjure. Enter Chrono Life. The game starts. As a beginner, rejection will come in all forms. And in this case, being able to join a party with low stats as expected from a beginner is almost impossible without gaining rank by leveling up. The leader of the tiny knight screams hell no to piss off in a brutal fashion when our main character asks to join his party. Gauging the game lobby finds a pretty face with a battle-scarred swordsman behind her and decides to take his shot at joining their party. She is sweet in every way. Even in her rejection, she apologizes, stating this room is for only the experienced players. From one leader of a party to another, coming in all shapes, forms, and sizes, throw rejections at our main character. Even to the point where a bratty kid brushes off the main character and advises he gets his equipment levels at least in the double digits before he ever asks to join his club again. Surrounded by so many yet so alone. Emotional damage. Witnessing everyone in groups enjoying themselves in conversation and getting ready to start their respective games, our main character begins to fume in anger. Unable to restrain his distaste, he yells out into the ether that he hates this game and everything it represents. Eyes starting to water, he curses the game he had longed for, not realizing he is drawing attention to himself. Others stare in embarrassment at what appears before them. Some whiny guy cursing up a storm in the form of a monologue. They laugh at him, deducing he is nothing more than a petty and weak outcast. As people begin to walk away from our main character, and his outcry claiming the ignorance of all who had rejected him, he proclaims out loud how powerful his sword is, and anyone would be lucky to have him join their party. Our main character just so happens to attract one person's attention as he continues his obnoxiously loud monologue, stating how much he paid to obtain his mighty weapon at the game store. Dejected and hopeless, with his head hanging low, our main character does not realize what stands behind him. Until now. Beautiful and almost majestic in her presence, the beautiful girl calls out to our main character. Stunned initially by her beauty, he nervously asks her who she is. She inquires if he has already joined a party, and if not, if he would like to join her and go on a light mission through the forest. He's stunned. Finally, an opportunity to prove himself, and it comes in the form of an offer from the most gorgeous woman he's ever laid eyes on. Funny as he went from cursing the existence of Chrono Life to proclaiming it to be the best game ever now. Walking through the forest, our main character and the majestic girl converse and get to know each other. The girl hangs on to every word he speaks as he gloats about his quote-unquote conquests. He is even braggadocious in stating how much of his parents' money he has spent in the game store. Still showing amazement in her eyes, the majestic girl asks how much did our main character's parents give him to spend. As if he accomplished some massive feat, he states he spent $55 on the Novice Warrior package. He draws his sword with pride and points out to the girl that Knight's sword was part of the bundle he purchased, and claimed its might. She stands amazed at our main character with a glow in her eyes. She states how impressive he is and even goes as far as to compare him to a superhero. Just like that, it hits him. Right through his chest and into his heart lies Cupid's arrow. Stunned that someone so beautiful views him in such a way, his mind races as he visualizes the future. He imagines them going for strolls in the park with their fingers interlocked, enjoying each other's company. Arms wrapped around each other and locking lips for the first time, completely in love. He can see where he proposes to her, right on the edge of a lake as the sun is setting. Why stop imagining there? He can already see the photos from their wedding as they are portrayed with complete elation on their faces. Even goes as far as visualizing their first child together with stars in his eyes, already thinking of what to name their firstborn. As he snaps back from his daydreaming from the sound of a majestic girl stepping on dry crackly grass, the girl states in excitement that they have finally arrived at the point in the forest where the mission is to begin. Confused as he stands in the middle of a forest with nothing appearing before him in the form of a mission, he turns around to inquire what exactly they are doing. Before he can get his head all the way around to look at the majestic beauty, she takes her staff and stabs our main character right through abdomen as the staff makes it all the way through his torso. Shocked and stunned in complete disbelief as he spits blood from his mouth, his health meter goes off like a siren, signaling that his health meter has taken a catastrophic blow and is in danger of losing his life. He drops flat on his back after the majestic girl pulls her staff out from our main character. The brutal reality of what just occurred hasn't fully hit our main character as he stares up at the girl and struggles to get all his words out, asking why she would commit such a heinous act against him. He is losing blood quickly and shouts out again, "Why?" She stares down upon him, no longer with a majestic presence. There is something sinister about her gaze. Our main character panicking as she smiles, not answering his original question, he blurts out that she must be after his mighty sword. Laughing in the most demeaning way possible, she belittles the power of his sword and refers to him as an absolute bum. As if one could be more stunned after being stabbed right through his midsection, he stares in shock, still unaware of the cause of her treachery. She reveals her intent from the time she first called out to him was to end his life. She also states the reason why she brought him deep into the forest was because there were to be no witnesses of the act she committed. Our main character is not displaying the best awareness as he questions if there was even a mission that she really wanted him to join her in. As if he was still holding out hope that something good could come out of this. She laughs at his apparent stupidity and says of course there is no mission. She clarifies that someone like her would never be seen with someone as low as him. As he got up to his knees, the statement he heard hit deeper than the staff that protruded his flesh. She continues shaming him by inquiring if his failures in this virtual reality reflect his failures in real life. She finishes off her statement by letting him know he is nothing but a scrub. She is quite the dirty bird. In a sarcastic manner, she advises him to go back to mommy and daddy and get some more money to at least upgrade that mediocre weapon that he cherishes so much. She further shames him by pointing out his laziness, as she refers to him not only having a weak base weapon, but not even doing what it takes to upgrade it. She stops to take a breather from verbally abusing our main character and remembers that he initially bragged about using his parents' money to buy the novice warrior package. She hits him with her final verbal blow and points out that if the money his parents were able to give to him was only able to net him a novice package, that they just like him are nothing but scrubs. He felt it. Her tongue sharper than her piercing staff. He stands on one knee, gathering up what little strength he has left to speak. With rage emanating through his eyes, he demands her to end her trash talk. He follows up saying to never mention his parents in such a way and refers to her as trash. Before he can close his mouth after speaking, with lightning speed and precision she delivers a fatal blow, severing our main character's body in half. His blood paints the grass and her face as she once again refers to him as trash and is nothing more than a scrub. He's done for and defeated. Dead. A notification bell sounds from the skies as the majestic girl has completed her mission. 1,000 kills achieved. The notification states that she has been elevated to what is called the secret job class. The density of the air around her changes as her hair is changing color from a dusty blonde to a jet black. A light begins to form and surrounds the majestic girl completely. And as the light begins to dim, there appears the majestic girl in her upgraded form. Her gear, weapons and skill ratings have all skyrocketed, even growing wings. She is now classified at her new level as Goddess of Life. With no regard to our main character's body laying just about dead and split in half, the majestic girl, now known in her new form as the Goddess of Life, takes an opportunity to stretch. All those kills must have her muscles sore and tight. With complete disrespect, she walks not just over but on our main character's corpse, as she reminds herself that she has but one task left to complete to finish her overall mission. Our main character has an epiphany, and declares, "Today, I understand what is true, victory only comes to the mighty." The game alerts our main character, as he takes his last breath, that he is dead. Here in Chrono Life, once a character has perished at the hands of another, they will come back to life in one of the many safe zones within the game. Only catch, a portion of the revived player's experience points will have been lost. A glow appears in the safe zone with our main character's body forming back into one piece after his brutal death, leaving his body in two. Finally back into action, our main character has a look in his eyes that differs from the whiny version of himself. He flashes back to the sequences of events that led to his falling. He sees the majestic girl laughing at his status both within the game and real life while shaming his parents for being losers. He sees the same tiny knight who gave him the bird and told him to piss off. Even the bratty kid telling him to level up before ever approaching him again. Our main character, head down and blood boiling, hits a tipping point and lets out a scream as if to clear his mind from his pent-up rage. He rummages through his satchel and pulls out the wooden hammer of reinforcement. The power that lies in this hammer allows a player to raise their weapon by 1 point by striking their weapon with the hammer. He pulls out his sword that was shamed by the now goddess of life in an attempt to level the weapon up. He takes out his hammer of reinforcement, and with all his might strikes his sword with hopes of making the sword more powerful. Perfect strike. Or is it? The aftermath of the blow to his sword from the hammer causes the sword to split in half, no different than the goddess of life did to our main character's body. It's important to point out that if the reinforcement is not successful, the item that was to be upgraded will end up destroyed. Devastating. No way this can be true. Our main character removes his level 5 leather glove of blood and iron and takes his hammer of reinforcement to attempt to level up this item. Clang! Once again, another failed reinforcement, and another key item lost. Unable to understand what is going on, our main character begins to go hammer crazy and smashes all of his armor and battle gear in hopes to upgrade them, and by the time the hammer is laid down, every failed reinforcement has left him sitting in an alley with nothing on but his underwear. Tears running down his face and succumbing to what is inevitably true, he states, his time in this game should come to an end. He is ready to leave the game the same way he entered it, proclaiming his distaste for chrono life. Out of nowhere, a stick is thrown towards our main character as it lands right beside him. New weapon! Wooden stick! Tail of the tape for the new weapon goes as stated, for the novice of all novices, level rating gravely low. Our main character looks up to see a very vague looking with a weird sort of optimism that could only come from a rookie. Our main character puts 2 and 2 together and realizes the appearance of both the wooden stick and the weird-looking newbie was no coincidence at all. He asks himself out loud if the newbie is actually giving him the lowly wooden stick. The newbie, without saying a word, gives him a thumbs up to signal he is indeed giving him the weapon. Our main character is wished good luck by the newbie as he embarrassingly thinks to himself that even a rookie feels sorry for him. He actually admits it makes sense considering he is on the floor of an alley wearing nothing but tidy witties. With nothing left but his reinforcement hammer in one hand and the wooden stick laying before him, he thinks for a second and strikes the wooden stick. Well, look at that, a successful reinforcement of the wooden stick going from +1 to +2. He strikes again and with another successful +1. He wonders why is it he can't upgrade a weapon worth its salt, but yet the one of the weakest weapons has upgraded twice with 2 strikes. Just his luck. One strike after the next, one notification after the next, and has non-stop achieved successful level UPS of the wooden stick. Not believing what he is witnessing, our main character cites that the stronger the weapon is, the higher the rate of failure and inevitably destruction of your weapon with every strike of the reinforcement hammer. So naturally he believes at some point, the wooden stick would fall the same way his sword did. He bangs away non-stop throughout the evening into the next morning. Unable to hold a steady grip as his hand and forearm carrying the hammer is completely drained of energy. He summoned the last of what stable strength he had left, and delivered his final strike to the wooden stick. His final notification from the game appears and alerts him of his last and final reinforcement of the wooden stick. The level of his gifted weapon from the newbie has reached the highest level. +99. Emanating a glow from the wooden stick as our main character looks at it with disbelief, he is shocked that a lowly weapon could even reach a level 99. Like seriously, how? For context, a weapon at +10 has a 5% chance of being able to level up successfully. Yet our main character was able to take the weapon from +1 to 99. Focusing so much on how the weapon reached its level, our main character, subconsciously loosens his grip, and as the stick begins to fall, he quickly attempts to catch his new weapon, causing it to spin after every missed catch attempt he makes. He finally maintains the +99 wooden stick as he is catching it falling to the ground, and as the other end of the stick makes contact on the floor, he feels the energy. Boom! The energy release from the +99 wooden stick levels the world. As in the planet, a beam of energy in the form of destruction makes its way straight all the way across the surface of the earth, and right off into space. As he sits exactly where the stick made contact with the ground, everything behind him stands as it did, as everything in front of him is completely devastated and destroyed. He wondered how? Everyone in terror was wondering what happened, as so many of their team members suffered deaths. Cries for help from everywhere as the ones alive stand in terror, wondering if there is a special event within Chrono Life occurring. He sees what everyone else sees: the continent is cracked right down the middle before him. Chrono Life servers immediately ringing as a new world record was set. The most slain players in a single event, causing the most game overs in the world's history. In Chrono Life, a player loses a reputation point for player the kill. In this case, over 850,000 players were killed off by the single tap of the +99 wooden stick. He feels the power he longed for so long, thinking once again of how the goddess of life demeaned his existence, and shamed his family before she took his life. Every loss, every rejection plays over and over as he sees his opportunity to do what he was unable to do before. Get revenge. Reinforced Wooden Stick Episode 2. With all the events that led to so many players being killed off with the single strike of his newly acquired wooden stick, he thinks back to his real life and realizes how average he really was. From a genetic standpoint, there was nothing worth looking at. He wasn't any good at sports, not the brightest in the classroom, and overall was just another guy. He even classifies his ranking in real life in terms of the classifications in Chrono Life. He gave himself an honest grade of Bronze Tier 4, which is nothing to write home about. A brand new day here in Chrono Life. Entering the lobby again is our main character, still in his underwear and wrapped in a cloak. Walking with intent through the crowd, thump! Our main character walks right into a large bald meathead. The large guy with anger in his eyes and battle scars on his face looks down upon our main character both literally and figuratively. He demands to know who the hell he is while grabbing him by the front of his cloak in typical bully fashion. The large man insists our main character better be more aware of his surroundings unless he is looking to die, as his girlfriend laughingly pities our main character. She tells her boyfriend how obviously scared he is and should leave the rookie alone. With no fear to show as he is being lifted by the front of his cloak, our main character tells the large man that it is best to release him and pushes the envelope further by calling him a fatty. Before the large man could even get out his next word, our main character takes his wooden stick and strikes the large man on his temple. Shocked that someone considerably smaller than him would have the balls to strike him, the large man in anger attempts to ask if our main character is even being serious, considering his weapon is just a wooden stick. But before he gets his last word out, the delayed reaction from the wooden stick finally comes to light, and emanates a source of power that sends the large man straight into the stratosphere and to his death in Chrono Life. The large man's girlfriend looks to the sky with complete disbelief that her mighty boyfriend was defeated and destroyed by what appears to be nothing but a scared little guy. Showing off his wooden stick with a firm grip, declares, he is the alpha in Chrono Life and this world now revolves around him. Cocky is our main character, but with purpose in his eyes. There is just no way life has all of a sudden made a 180. The saying goes, if it's too good to be true, it's probably not. And just like that, an in-game message appears before our main character warning him that his weapon has taken serious damage and that it will break and be useless soon. For context, the wooden stick being a beginner's weapon, even though in this very unique case has been leveled out to a +99 max, still only has a durability level of 5. All of a sudden feeling small again, our main character stares at what he thought was his golden ticket and falls back in disbelief. He wasn't joking when he mentioned he wasn't the brightest in the classroom, as he does the math in his head. His +99 wooden stick having a durability rating of 5, and he has already used his weapon twice, He deduces 3 strikes left with his mighty weapon before it self-destructs. His back laid flat against the ground, as he stares into the sky brainstorming, he comes to the conclusion that he is absolutely screwed. He thinks back again to those who rejected him and his plans of retaliation. But the thought of not being able to avenge his death to the scumbag goddess of life causes our main character to bounce right back onto his feet as he rages again, but this time more controlled. He calms his inner storm and declares he knows what must be done. 3 strikes left, and his weapon is out. He decides on his plan and begins. Night falls and our main character's plans take him to the most dark and ominous part of chrono life. Enter the abyss of death. The air is thick. The crows screech. And lightning striking everywhere. The terrain is rough and ground made up of skulls from the fallen players, and yet, our main character continues press on to his plan. Walking with purpose yet no direct sight of what exactly he is looking for, he is speaking to himself in a mumble as if this realm is causing him to act weirder than usual. His very next step, he feels the ground shake and his surrounding rumble. It increases in intensity just as our character stares down at the ground shaking as if he expected this weird phenomenon to occur. As a powerful blast from up ahead sending skulls from the ground straight into the air completely pulverized and easily mistaken for snow, appears before our main character a creature within chrono life that all know and fear. The wings on each side twice the size of the creature. 2 heads with 4 eyes on one body containing a source of energy in its chest, stares down at our main character. Each head of this terrifying creature, screaming into a different direction with vibrations echoing throughout the realm. Yet our main character stands in place no different than one waiting in line at a convenience store. Was this part of the plan? The creature speaks our language and raises his claws in the air, congratulating our main character on his misguided bravery entering his world considering he is nothing but a mortal. The creature is identified by chrono life as the ultimate boss monster, the twin-headed dragon known as Urus. Urus states that in this realm is where life and death come clash. From the outside looking in, Urus's presence is daunting, especially in comparison to the size difference between the two. Urus stares down what he deems to be the next victim. He begins to declare that our main character's path to hell is here. Before Urus could get the rest of his declaration out, the familiar golden glow that was witnessed twice before when the +99 wooden stick was in use, appears by one of Urus's heads. In a flash, one of the heads completely decapitated with the after smoke of the blows still emanating on the exposed tissue and cartilage. Urus's other head looks over in shock as to how the heck could this have happened. He looks down at our main character, the silhouette of the strike still present as he stares back unfazed. Weirdly, however, our main character is repeating the phrase 3 strikes left over and over. Urus the monster overhears our main character and witnesses the in-game message he received that he only now has 2 hits left. Standing tall and weapon raised, he appears more at home here in the abyss of death than the monster Urus himself. Our main character is shooting for the stars and states out loud with only a couple of strikes left before the destruction of his wooden stick, why not kill the strongest boss-level opponent in the game? Fear. Absolute fear. Urus, seeing his life flash before him, screams out begging for our main character to wait repeatedly. Our main character stares back in disbelief at what he is hearing from the strongest opponent in all of chrono life. Urus claims the importance of what he has to say. In a much less threatening voice asks for our main character to lend him his ears for a second. He screams at the monster about how he referred to him as a misguided mortal at the beginning of their conversation. Urus, in an innocent fashion, claims he was programmed to say such and apologizes, saying the orders can't be disobeyed, knowing at that very moment that he has no decision on if he lives for another day. Urus asks our main character how he was able to achieve such power. He yells back at Urus asking when did this become an interview. He states that it just happened and does not know the reason for all the gained power, but now it's time for you, Urus, to die. Urus screams for him to wait, but it's too late. He strikes and he connects. The abyss of death echoes and the familiar golden globe by which now signifies the end for the stricken appears. Fallen is Urus, causing the ground to quake. In obvious pain and blood pouring out of his mouth, Urus witnesses our main character's in-game message, alerting him he has but one strike left before the wooden stick is destructed. Speaking to himself out loud, our main character expresses how sad it will be to return back to his normal status as the scrub. Declares if the weapon's durability was able to be upgraded that he would be unstoppable. Urus digests the words that was just spoken and sees his opportunity to possibly live. Urus asks out loud if our main character has an issue with the low durability of his wooden stick, and if so, he has an answer that would be of use. With all ears now, our main character asks Urus if he is indeed serious. In-game message: Master/servant contract offer. Urus, the strongest boss of them all, has offered his soul to our main character. Our main character confused by the offer, as he has never heard of such an in-game contract. Urus trembles and respectfully asks if our main character is familiar with the ego sword. Replying that he had no idea, our main character demands to know further details and that he wants it now. Urus complies quickly as he explains that his being will be transferred to the weapon of the person he is surrendering his soul to, which in turn means his body will be sacrificed. Urus details his sword would be, quote-unquote, aware, able to perceive its surroundings and feel. A weapon like no other. The highest ranked weapon of all. The ego sword. Or in this case, wooden stick. Urus also states that the weapon would be indestructible, causing our main character to laugh in a menacing yet gleeful way. Back on track, our main character states: from losing all hope to looking up into the sky, power-hungry and equating the gods and supporting his mission for revenge. Urus even more in fear after hearing our main character's monologue. He trembles awaiting our main character's decision on the contract offer. Ding! Accept! Just like that, the same purple glow that emanated through the eyes of Urus appears all around our main character with ancient symbols glowing brighter than the sun. Urus stands before our main character within the circle, and the sacrificing of his physical form disappears till completion. The transferring of Urus's soul is complete. Rank. Ego. Durability, infinity. Our main character feels the ground beneath him shake, and out comes a large legion of Urus's species, all sharing the same glow of their former leader. The weapon is perceptive and has the soul of Urus, and which in turn means they all serve our main character now. They all scream revenge repeatedly, for again, the ego wooden stick has the ability to feel, and those feelings are passed on to those who serve him. What an army to possess! Their chants of revenge have him salivating at the thought of killing the goddess of life. He raises his ego rank wooden stick and left off a blast straight out of this planet, just getting a taste for his newfound power. Meanwhile, back in the game lobby, a gathering is formed with many players all inquiring why they were brought there. A shielded warrior declares that there has been a max threat bounty sent throughout all the country. He stands next to a wanted poster of our main character in his hooded cloak and states, he killed just under 1 million users in one day. He is evil and must be stopped at all costs. The shielded warrior screams out that the reward would be $8 million. A number that large had everyone in the main lobby already imagining life with that lump sum of money. As a different group of shielded warriors marched through the game lobby, other players noticed the crest and recognized it to be that of the guard knights of the royal palace. The leader of the sacred guild in her layered golden armor arrives. Members of the elite guild of crusaders donning red cloaks, with their leader stepping to the forefront with a distinct scar pattern over his eye. The leader of the Holy Land guild with her army and sundial staff happens to be one of the strongest of all. A hooded warrior with a mask leading the Righteous Bandits Guild, known for their thievery, arrive from another side of the game lobby. And finally, from another direction, the Castle Arden Guild get the attention of everyone with their loud battle march with their ruler leading the way. All the players in the lobby are dumbfounded that 5 of the most powerful armies are all in one location there. The leader of the Castle Arden Guild screams out to all the armies. Considering the threat level, they should all form an alliance to catch the infamous murderer. War is on! With a weapon like this, seemingly either one of or the most powerful weapons within all of Chronolife, it makes sense that so many armies were gathered to take down our main character. Gawking at his new ego rank plus 99 wooden stick, there is a power-hungry grin on our main character's face that eventually turns into a manic laughter. Everything he has dreamed for his existence within Chronolife is quite literally in the palm of his hand. In an unexpected turn of events, a somewhat familiar yet ghoulish ghost appears from the wooden stick, who shares the same elation our main character had right before the ghost appears. The ghost says in both an obedient manner and in excitement that the main character is displaying so much joy. Before the ghost could say anything more, our main character is shocked to his core and screams out, "What the freak?" Flabbergasted our main character is, he inquires why in the world his weapon all of a sudden has a face. Then demands to know who and what the ghost actually is. The ghost smiling back replies that he is Urus, the same twin-headed monster he battled in the abyss of death. Our main character thinks to himself, "How?" Then flashes back to his battle as he stood face to face with his former foe. Seeing the menacing look he once had and now some seemingly childish miniaturized version of Urus is talking to him floating out of his weapon. Urus reminds him that he relinquished his soul to our main character and merged it with his weapon, which ultimately gave it the power of ego rank and infinite durability. Surprisingly, our main character, Urus, floats off the wooden stick and is asked how is he merged with the weapon, yet able to separate from it. Urus explains that having an ego-ranked weapon only allows the owner of the weapon to both see and hear the soul that merged with it. Not the flyer manages to float right between the two, causing them to stop and wonder what is on the front page. Stunner. Our main character's mug shot on a wanted poster with a massive reward to the person who brings him in. His nerves are kicking in trying to understand what is going on, and then looks up to see the wind blowing hundreds of these posters all over Chrono Life. Going through town and trying to eat his turkey leg with a somewhat stealthy approach, our main character sees his face in every direction. Wanted posters in front of businesses, back alleys, and the in-game store. Pick any direction and his mug shot is there clear as day. Urus screams in excitement, though our main character is the only person who can hear it, stating how strong our main character is considering he killed off over 800,000 people within a single strike. Urus, even back when he still had his physical form, could not even fathom the power. Urus continues by stating that 8 million to bring our main character in is impressive considering how much that is both the game and what that converts to the player who brings him in. Stuffing his face and looking at Urus with curiosity, he asks Urus, considering you are just a character developed within the game and not an actual player, how is it that he knows real money in the outside world? He further asks about in-game characters not being allowed to speak on the real world and why he is doing so. Urus lets out a big sigh and proclaims his is technically already dead. So at this point, who cares? Urus then directs the conversation towards how exactly is his master going to escape from this bounty. With such a large amount of money put on our main character's head, Urus states that any and every one in Chrono Life will be coming for him full force. Urus in a sinister fashion suggests that his master considers wiping out every human within Chrono Life to avoid being captured. Barely paying attention, our main character with a mouthful of food thinks to himself in almost a proud way, "Wow, over 800,000 player killed." He asks himself if that was due to when he first dropped his newly crowned plus 990 wooden stick. He continues to observe the environment, seeing his face on posters everywhere, and does not show the same shock or nervousness he displayed before. He begins to laugh and tells Urus that he kind of feels like a celebrity, and that he kind of likes it. He then states, considering what has happened, perhaps he should just continue through Chrono Life with hidden overpowered persona. Urus stands back with confusion and asks why take that approach? Our main character explains that he would still look like some newbie in the game, but having this enormous power hidden. Urus is further confused and inquires what's the point of hiding the powers. He continues to say that human beings are the type to consider someone inferior if they are classified weaker than them. Cocky in his chuckling, he tells Urus that there is much he has to learn when it comes to the human psyche. He proceeds to tell Urus that in plenty of movies and comics, the not-so-intimidating and even weak-appearing characters end up being some of the most overpowered main characters. As our main character is finishing up his statement, out of nowhere, an arrow pierces his back and right through his abdomen, with Urus shocked in what he just witnessed. Wouldn't be surprised if that was the same spot he was stabbed by the goddess of life. Coughing up blood from the seemingly fatal attack, he falls flat on his face. Is he dead? Could this really be happening to someone so powerful? Urus looks down over his master and asks if he is okay. Urus looks up to see the satchel of bows that match the one that pierced his master's body, a majestic bow only held by one who is deemed worthy. And as Urus sees the one wielding the bow, the leader of the guild sent to capture our main character, stands from above as he witnesses his perfect shot that landed. Hawkeye, the top commander of the Guild Alliance. Hawkeye's soldiers march from every direction towards our main character as he lays face down and completely helpless. They have him completely surrounded from ground level to the rooftops of the surrounding buildings, all with their bow and arrows in place and ready to shoot. Hawkeye screams out and declares that as the top commander that our main character is to be locked up with the keys destroyed for the murder of 800,000 plus players. Hawkeye's army screams out their compliance, and are ready to bring in our main character. Urus, breaking a sweat from all his nerves, tells our main character that he needs to get up and get up now. The army surrounds our main character, not at all seeing Urus as he can only be seen by his master. Our main character is alive indeed, spitting up blood from his mouth as he struggles to lift himself off the ground. One step at a time. Up to his knee, then willing himself back up to his feet as he is barely able to stand. The army can't believe what they are seeing. How is it that he is able to rise? Understanding that our main character is no normal player, Hawkeye yells out his command to his army to not give our main character an inch. Attack! Attack! Hawkeye yells out. Urus witnessing from every direction, all the soldiers in the army with their bows cocked and battle weapons ready to strike. Rage is beginning to build up in our main character, as he tells Urus to disregard what he said before about hiding his powers in plain sight. He pulls the arrow out from his midsection and tosses it aside as there is no visible sight of injury to his abdomen anymore. There it is, the ego rank plus 99 wooden stick, firmly grasped in his hand as he stares down the challenge that stands before him. He realizes that he must expose his true power. It's back. The bloodthirsty look in our main character's eyes the same way when he reminisced about getting his revenge on all those who did him wrong. He lets them all know that what's to come is the doing of Hawkeye and his army. And just like that, one strike, and the ensuing eye-blinding glowing flash accompanied with a catastrophic blast has Hawkeye and his army witnessing their lives flash right before their eyes. The sheer power from this one blow causes a massive explosion that not only destroys everything within plain sight but quite literally, rocks the whole world. The aftermath. All of the soldiers that Hawkeye deployed to capture our main character lie dead. He manages to survive as he was not in the direct blast but obviously compromised. Not understanding what just happened, Hawkeye questions what just happened. What lies before him has him completely in shock. Every single one of his soldiers dead. He looks further to even a bigger unwanted surprise. The capital of the First Kingdom is no longer there. Destruction. As our main character approaches Hawkeye with the stomp of his foot into the ground to get him to stop looking for the capital and soldiers that were once there. Fear. Staring into the eyes of our main character who still stands shamelessly with no pants or worry, Hawkeye quickly scrambles to grab something within his inner pocket. His trump card. The Orb of Calling. This item in Chrono Life allows the one who possesses the orb to summon as many people of the possessor's liking to his exact location, instantly. He breaks the orb to activate this power of summoning in pure desperation. A bright blue flash emanates from the ground beneath Hawkeye. Then all over the flash appears with the summoning symbols on the ground glowing bright. He makes his decision. He knows the ones he needs to summon, and he yells out his summoning of all the leaders and soldiers of the World Guild Alliance. The glow from the light shines brighter as the air becomes severely dense. And in an instant, from all directions, armies gathered from all over the world appear and all stare in the same direction. Our main character, showing minimal concern, observes what stands before and around him. Battle-tested and ready, the soldiers surround our main character at a scale unimaginable. Soldiers representing every single part of the world, just a little over 300 million, form into one coordinated unit, and ready to take down our main character. With a bit more confidence than Hawkeye displayed right after his army was destroyed, he stands tall and gets ready to call out his order. The emotion is evident as Hawkeye screams for every soldier to strike. As ordered and expected, they all lunge forward with malice intent. Our main character, with a sense of calm, lets out his last exhale, then raises his weapon to levy what has been witnessed before. Slice! Right through a portion of the World Guild, sending many of soldiers to their deaths. Through the eyes of Urus, he is devastated himself at the magnitude of power his new master possesses. Reaching back to swing again, he delivers a slashing blow, wiping out another large portion of the World Guild. And back through the eyes of Urus, stunned, he looks back to when he saw his master laying and appearing dead to now, laying destruction on the world's biggest army combined. Urus, in complete analysis mode, thinks back into even when he was in physical form and also the strongest boss monster in all of Chrono Life. Even then, would he not be able to take on an army even a fraction of the size our main character is facing now? And that is including if he summoned his entire Urus Legion. To add to his analysis, he takes into account not only the amount of soldiers he is up against, but also the quality. These armies are comprised of some of the most highest ranked players in all of Chrono Life. Yet there he stands. Urus understands that his new master is the exception to the rule. Another coordinated attack from the guild, as they lunge forward with their royal golden spears coming from all sides. The leader of this army, with his Blood Moon Royal class sword, only rewarded to the worthy and elite, leads the charge. Nearing our main character, he stands unfazed and expressionless, to the menacing smile created with his newfound power coursing throughout his body. Impact. Instant defeat in the form of a quick death. Our main character slays the soldiers before him while killing off every soldier that stood behind them a quarter mile back. Appears as one of the other leaders of the guild, Abracadabra, the most powerful magician of the royal family, chanting as she begins to cast a spell of some sort in a different tongue. What appears from the blinding glow, appears 6 other soldiers with their magical battle staffs, and in unison, cast a spell while combining their powers. Intrigued stands our main character, as he anticipates what's to come. In the sky above him is the ancient magic symbols of death. As our main character and Urus look up at the symbols in confusion, Abracadabra yells out the ancient chant for disintegration. The ancient symbols of death that appears above our main character reacts to the chant, and begins opening a gateway in the center. He sees what is to come. From the center of the gateway, out comes a beam of destructive magic combining the powers of the 6 magicians along with Abracadabra. They believe our main character stands no chance. Our main character looks up and thinks to himself that he too should have a trademark name for his attacks the same way Abracadabra did with the ancient disintegration. The beam nearing, he declares right then and there that he is going to name his attack as he draws his powerful wooden stick. Slashing in an upward motion with his weapon, without much thought into picking a name for his attack, our main character yells, "Swing up!" Rocking the world again, his power shoots right through the magician's attack and straight into space. The ancient magic symbols of death is shattered across the center before crumbling into pieces and falling from the sky. Beads of sweat falling down Abracadabra's face in fear, wondering how anyone could overcome such an attack. Abracadabra orders her soldiers to form another set of the ancient symbols of death. As they comply and begin to cast their magic, they point their staffs towards our character as he raises his weapon up. With another quote-unquote thought-out attack name, our main character this time screams out, "Swing down!" His final attack lays down the finishing blow and killing the magicians that stood before him, while also killing the rest of 3 million soldiers and leaders that Hawkeye summoned. This was no war. This was a bloodbath. Surprisingly, Hawkeye was the only one of 3 million to survive up until this point. On his knees, defeated and shooken to his core, he goes into shock as he continues to repeat, "There's no way, there's no way." Our main character suddenly appears before Hawkeye as he tells him that he is alive only because he wanted him to be. Confused and in fear, Hawkeye asks if our main character is going to spare him, and if so, why? Our main character looks off and laughs, telling Hawkeye, "Why else would I have kept you alive last?" He reminds Hawkeye that he was the one who shot the arrow that went through his body. Hawkeye, realizing his fate, before he could even get another thought in, wham! Our main character delivers a blow to the side of his head which, to no surprise, accompanied a massive blast sending his dead body off into the universe. Victory is sweet. The most historic battle in all of Chrono Life's existence was being talked about all over, for better or for worse. The aftermath is catastrophic. Staring down at his ego-ranked wooden stick, Ura's soul reappears from within the weapon as he congratulates his master on his victory. Our main character almost forgot for a second that Urus is now a part of his weapon as he wondered where he went off to. The sound of a footstep from behind catches our main character's attention as he turns to see if it was even possible for one of the soldiers to still be alive. Clearly feeling upset that there would even be a survivor. However, as he begins to make out what seems to be a familiar silhouette, he stands face to face with the oncomer and realizes. There she is, the very girl who lured our main character into the forest to kill him and eventually become the goddess of life. Lost for words, he sees before him the one person in all of Chrono Life he wants to kill most as she stares back with confidence and grin. She speaks, telling our main character, "It's been too long, rookie." One of the prettiest sights in all of Chrono Life is the setting of the sun. Today, the sun sets, as its light reflects from the swords of the fallen soldiers, all of which who lay dead and scattered throughout the land. Our main character added 3 million player deaths from his battle with the Guild's World Alliance to his 800,000 plus from when he first used his ego-ranked plus 99 wooden stick. Yet the only life he is concerned about ending is standing right before him, with a smile on her face. Teeth clenched, heart racing and blood boiling, our main character and the goddess of life stand face to face. He closes his eyes for a second as he tries to gather himself. All he can see is her face laughing at him when they were back in the forest as she verbally humiliates him after she stabbed him right through his midsection. His body reacts as he tightens his grip on his wooden stick. As his rage is about to peak, he realizes that his opportunity to get revenge is nothing but a few feet away. The anger that was coursing through his veins slowly turns into a light chuckle from our main character. What he was chasing ever since he came across his newfound power has done the work for him and came to him directly. She returns a chuckle back at our main character and in a condescending fashion asks how has life been. Before he can answer, the goddess of death states sarcastically how odd it is that they crossed paths again. He sees right through her BS. He lets her know how obvious it is that she is only there to see him. Almost in a flirtatious manner, she asks him if he really believes that she is there just for him. He stares at her with not so much of a concerned look, but a look of curiosity. He admits to her that he would love nothing more than to bludgeon her to death, but wonders and asks why she looks different than before she killed him. For instance, her hair is a completely different color, she now has wings and a completely different aura. She takes his statement as a compliment, as she is happy he noticed the difference in her appearance. Flashing back to when she first transformed, she tells him that after she killed him, she reached her in-game goal of killing 1,000 people and earned her rank as Goddess of Life. Once she upgraded, she had no control of the changes to her body and power. Disgusted at having to relive his death via her stupid story, our main character looks at his killer with intent. He draws his ego-ranked, plus 99 wooden stick and asks his foe, "How can one be called the goddess of life after committing 1,000 murders?" She blushes, turning every statement coming out of our main character's mouth as a compliment. She laughs and says how ironic it is that she is named the goddess of life for her doings. Anger-fueled and ready to go, our main character asks with fury if she believes all this to be comical. In a blink of an eye, he strikes. Barely missing the goddess of life, he screams out, "Let's see how funny it is once I beat you to a pulp." As she is mid-air after dodging our main character's attack, she feels it. His power has greatly increased in such a short amount of time since their last encounter. Though he missed his attack, his powerful weapon made contact with the ground, letting a massive explosion of energy that was intended to be delivered to his beautiful foe. As the smoke clears from around our main character, He looks up at the goddess of death in a way of almost telling her that this is the end for her. She gasps in disappointment in how quickly our main character is trying to be rid of her, as she had intentions of telling him so much more. Our main character doesn't want to hear it. He came for blood. He makes his next move and strikes the ground in the direction of his foe, causing the same massive golden glow that accompanies destruction. And so it does straight towards the goddess of death. Urus screams out in support that his blow was a direct hit. As the smoke and dust engulfs the area before our main character and Urus screams out his joy for his master and his brilliance, and proclaims that victory is here. As our main character begins to toot his own horn, claiming that people like the goddess of life are the type to bark louder than their bite. Her silhouette in the dust storm settling appears as she is standing tall, and our main character in disbelief. How? Is what he is thinking. And as the dust is completely cleared, he sees the goddess of death, unscathed as the earth that appears before her and behind her is completely leveled. She giggles in amazement at how strong our main character has become. Even though she displays her being impressed, she looks right into his eyes without any worry and lets him know that an attack like that is not going to kill her. Urus, in complete fear, grabs onto his master's face and points out, saying that she has survived the attack even though that was completely obvious. Our main character tells Urus sarcastically that he just noticed that, and then urges Urus to get off of his face. As a reminder, Urus, who has relinquished his soul to our main character, can only be seen by him. Yet the goddess of life is staring at our main character, speaking to what others may see as him talking to himself. She sees something different. As Urus stares at her in confusion, it hits him. He asks himself if she is looking directly at him. Urus freaks out, screaming that our main character is the only one who can hear and see him, yet she seems somehow able to do the same. Our main character, completely disregarding the concerns of Urus, pushes him off and asks his foe how is she still standing without a scratch after taking one of his deadly blows. She questions our main character in asking if he was even paying attention to her earlier when she mentioned that she is now the goddess of life. She further states that there is no way some human is going to affect a god in any way, shape, or form. Oddly enough, her statement brings a smile to our main character in amazement. Not amazed in her power or her rank of goddess of life, but amazed at how much more he feels the need to kill her. So he acts. He lunges straight for his target. His wooden stick, raised and ready to attack. He's within direct striking range as the goddess stands calm with no distress to show. Our main character lands his destructive blow. Raising his weapon again, he goes for another strike, sending debris all over. His anger consuming him, he strikes again and again, each blow stronger than the one before. The energy from each blow blasts straight up and through the Earth's atmosphere as the waves of energy ripple its way around the planet. Urus, showing his concern, speaks out loud to himself and states if his master keeps this up, he won't only destroy the goddess of life, but everyone in Chrono Life. Cocky in her delivery, the goddess tells our main character that all his attacks will be for none. She rapidly stretches out her majestic wings, causing all the dust and debris to clear before her. She's glowing. She takes to the air as she stares down upon our main character. Urus, completely shocked that she was able to withstand multiple blows from his master's powerful weapon. Breathing heavy and having broken a sweat, he stands in disbelief that she is still alive. The goddess' wings emanate a bright glow that engulfs her body as she is tranquil and floating back down to the ground. She giggles condescendingly as she states how sad our main character's attempts at killing her have proven to be thus far. She shames him the same way she did before killing him by referring to him as a rook. She continues to patronize him as she states that she probably has been running through his mind ever since the day they first met. She taunts him further by stating he should end his pointless conquest of trying to kill her, because the fact of the matter is, no matter how powerful you become with your little weapon, you will never possess the strength to kill me. She approaches him, inches apart, and eye to eye. Our main character stares back at her, then realizes what must be done. He lets out the type of sigh before starting a giant task at hand. In a turn of events, our main character turns his back and begins to walk away. Somewhat shocked, the goddess inquires if his walking away is a signal that he is indeed giving up for what seems to be futile efforts. He begins to stretch his right arm carrying the wooden stick as if he is warming it up. He tells her that this next attack will have all of his power behind it. He states that his next attack should be able to cut right through. Laughing at what she claims to be a joke from our main character, the goddess begins to reiterate that he will never be able to destroy her, and just like that, he cuts her off and says that his next attack is not meant to cut through her but through the whole planet. This is the first time the goddess has shown any type of concern. Maybe she heard wrong? She asks him to clarify his last statement. With joy in his voice, he tells the goddess that the aftermath from the blow will be her undoing as opposed to receiving the blow head-on. His mindset is that if he is able to destroy Earth, then the goddess will be either killed off in the explosion of his attacks, or that she would pass away in the nothingness of outer space. Not so thrilled is the goddess of life, she demeans our main character in asking if he truly believes someone as lowly as him could take down a god. Displaying his impatience, our main character asks the goddess if she is paying attention at all. He states that he is now using all of his power with his next attack as he continues to warm up his shoulder. He flashes back to the events that occurred shortly before the goddess of death made her appearance. Blasting through the large forces of the World Alliance Guild, he thinks back stating he never once actually had to use full power. Not displaying the confidence she once had, the goddess is trying to make sense of our main character's plan. She states that even if he was able to destroy the whole planet, that would also mean the end of him as well. Willing to get revenge at the price of your own life? Does not sound like the best idea. He hears the question and begins to formulate an answer in his head. He sees himself getting killed at the hands of the goddess back in the forest, the tiny knight who flipped him off for even trying to join his army, and the bratty kid telling him to level up before asking again. Unable to control his emotions, our main character begins to laugh hysterically as he is confident in his plan to destroy the planet. Showing nervousness, the goddess lets our main character know that there is always someone like him who is too foolish to grasp how things operate within chrono life. With his weapon held high, our main character says the hell with how things operate in chrono life. A person with nothing to lose is the most dangerous opponent one can face, and just so happens that I have absolutely nothing to lose. Showing fear as the goddess of life is starting to believe that our main character does not care whether he lives or dies, just so long as he has his vengeance, the goddess screams and demands for him to halt his attack. Too late. With everything he's got, he smashes his wooden stick straight onto the earth. Instant seismic reactions causing the heartbeat of the goddess to match the rumble of the planet. Uruz can sense what is to come, causing him to panic. There's the bloodthirst look on our main character's face as the devastating strike from his weapon causes not only a linear path to destruction but multiple paths. The energy delivered is so powerful, the multiple paths of destruction make their way around the planet. The coming of a cosmic phenomenon stands before us. The implosion of the planet is almost complete, and in the blink of an eye, the world where chrono life existed is now destroyed. Nothing but darkness. As all of the main servers of chrono life are attempting to work through what just occurred, our main character has broken the game to the point where the binary numbers used to code the game are in its bare form. Truly remarkable. Back in the real world and in the VR Arcades cafe, the clerk at the front desk is dozing off and waiting for all the players to leave their gaming capsules by the end of his shift. Awakened from his nap, loud alarms from the capsules of players who were actively in chrono life are alerted that they have been kicked out of the servers. Causing confusion and panic from all the players, they all look to the arcade cafe clerk and demand to know what is the cause of them being kicked off of chrono life. So addicted to the game, the players go as far as to shame the clerk for ruining their gaming experience. The clerk, completely unaware himself of what occurred in chrono life, tries to get the players to relax and assures them that he had nothing to do with everyone being kicked out. Some of the players begin to wonder if the servers are indeed down, as one of them highlights how close he was to defeating one of the boss monsters. One of the players hopped on to the Chrono Life website and screamed out for everyone to do the same. On the front page of the site is a flashing notice stating that Chrono Life would be down till further notice. Heartbroken the players are as Chrono Life gave them all the opportunity to live as someone they wanted to be. As all the capsules opened up and ejected every single Chrono Life player in the world as the servers were shut down and all players killed off, there remains one pod that hasn't opened that is still connected to Chrono Life. Familiar silhouette? Back through the binary gateway, Chrono Life begins to boot up again. As the game conducts the scan of all the players, the scan report reads, only one player. There he stands. Our main character, the only non-AI generated entity within Chrono Life. Not knowing where he is, our main character stands in confusion as to what he is witnessing. He hears a voice scream out ST389. He turns back following the voice and sees a person while he screams out ST389 was the planet that he destroyed. Why? The strange character asks. Why destroy the planet? He states of all the planets within Chrono Life, that planet was the one she loved the most, and now it's rubble floating off into the ether and space. Our main character turns back to demand the stranger to state who he is. The strange character is different indeed. He has no eyes whatsoever. And as he begins to answer our main character, the shift in his face goes from stand to terrifying. Laughing in a way that brings about fear, his answer to his identity in a menacing and terrifying way goes as follows. I am a god. Our main character looks at this so-called god and does his best to hold in his laugh and lets out a smirk. Completely dismissing the quote-unquote god, our main character asks if he has seen anyone resembling the goddess of life. The god reassures our main character that they are the only two here now. Confused as to what just happened after using all his power to destroy the planet, he asks the god how is it just the two of them. Right on cue, there is an in-game message that appears before our main character stating that there is only one current online user. Wondering why our main character seems so surprised at the message, the eyeless god laughingly asks, why so shocked? Wasn't killing off the world exactly what you set out to do? The god walks our main character through memory lane and points out that an attack with that much concentrated power, no one could survive an attack like that. He continues to tell him that every species that ever lived on the planet is dead. Our main character chuckles, causing the god to be nervous as to why anyone would be happy about killing off the world. From chuckles to outright hysteria, our main character laughs uncontrollably as he celebrates his completed mission of vengeance. As he is screaming out how amazing this all is, the eyeless god looks at him in confusion. Caught up in his celebration, our main character looks to his wooden stick to summon Urus and tell him that he has killed the goddess of death. Looking at his weapon, there is not a sound to be heard and nothing in sight. Slapping his weapon the way one would with a malfunctioning electronic, our main character shouts out to Urus to no avail. The eyeless god gleefully says, I told you so, didn't I? No one here but the two of us. The god reiterates that our main character killed off every living thing including souls. Meaning Urus is dead as well. With the in-game message still in front of our character stating that there is only one user logged in, he asks the eyeless god how is it that he is there if our main character is the only logged in user? Our main character further asks if he is actually a part of the game, or perhaps an administrator of some sort? As the eyeless god begins to state that he is not just some made-up character by the developers, there appears to be some sort of visual interference, or glitch. The eyeless god states that the interference is intentional and meant to stop him from saying anything more. And just like that, a blinding light from the floor between them begins to grow larger and larger as our main character is starting to feel uneasy. The eyeless god seems to be in the know somehow even though he is not the one causing the flash of energy that appears before them and tells our main character that their meeting was purposeful even though short-lived. He waves at our main character to bid his farewell, and tells him to send his best wishes to the furry guy. Our main character is confused as to who is the furry guy. The light from below begins to grow brighter and brighter, eventually consuming the both of them as they disappear. Back through the binary gateway, an in-game message appears letting him know that he is logged out. Back at the gaming cafe, the sole player left in Chrono Life up until just a few seconds ago is out. His gaming capsule begins to open as there is now not one player in all of Chrono Life. As our main character in his real-life form removes his headset, his frustration is evident. Why in the world would that eyeless freak say all that and just vanish for no reason? Our main character thinks to himself. As he wonders why the eyeless god mentioned something about saying hello to the furry guy, across from his pod are two agent-like men, and between them sits a suspicious-looking, fancy-dressed man with a serious scar over his eye. This fancy-looking guy gets up and approaches our main character with intent. As he gets closer, the two agents, who obviously seem to work for the fancy fella, debrief him, stating our main character's name and age, and that he has been playing Chrono Life for 3 months. 21-year-old Julie, our main character. A third agent appears and states that Julie, who is our main character, has the plus 99 wooden stick as his current weapon in Chrono Life. As the fancy fella stands above our main character Julie in an intimidating manner, he asks if all the information the agents just stated is true about him. Julie wonders if this is the furry guy that the eyeless god was referring to. Fear in his eyes and his voice cracking, Julie answers the question and states that the agents are correct in identifying him. He then asks the fancy fella who exactly he is. He replies, as he takes his shades off to look our main character Julie eye to eye, that he is the one to separate him from his wooden stick. He stands and flashes back to the sequences of events that ultimately led him here. A 21-year-old college student who fell in love with the game 3 months ago. So overly concerned with being accepted into game parties, crying out his hate for the game after countless rejections. The scales tipped once he reinforced his wooden stick. Destruction came to those who ever crossed Julie in any way. He sees her, the goddess of death, and recants when her time punishment came and delivered the blow that destroyed all of Chrono Life and its inhabitants. Then, to top it off, he ends up in a different realm within the game with some weird eyeless man claiming to be a god. Then disappeared without explanation. Now back in reality, in front of a restaurant stands 5 of the same type of agents that accompanied the fancy fella, all in alignment, and observing their surroundings on duty. Delicious. Sitting across from each other as the fancy fella is consuming his meal, Julie sits in nervousness and silence, not touching the food served in front of him. The fancy fella doesn't take it lightly that the food is being wasted and demands that Julie eat up, as the food here is prepared the best way. Traditional. Julie trembles as he complies and begins to eat. In an attempt to lighten the mood, the fancy fella reveals that the very restaurant they are sitting in has been his go-to place for food when he had nothing to his name. He mentions 15 years ago, when he first sat here to eat, he put everything he had into his startup company that produced Chrono Life and had nothing while the game was in its preliminary stages. Ding ding ding. It hits our main character Julie that this fancy fella is claiming to be the creator of Chrono Life. He immediately asks him if it is true. The fancy fella apologizes, as he thought he introduced himself back at the arcade cafe. He states that he is Mr. Choi, the chief executive of Chrono Life. Shocker! Our main character Julie screams out in relief that he thought Mr. Choi was a leader of a mafia of some sort. He then asks, what's the deal with all the agents? Oddly enough, the chief executive, Mr. Choi, points out they are just employees of Chrono Life. He then goes around the room pointing out each of their positions within the company, none of which resemble agent, hitman, or security as our main character initially thought. Our main character, still showing a bit of anxiety, asks Mr. Choi, why is there interest with me? Mr. Choi replies by asking if our main character was even listening to him back at the arcade cafe. He reminds Julie that he is there to remove him from his reinforced wooden stick. Stunned as he is about to lose all the power he attained within Chrono Life, Julie asks Mr. Choi why? Why take away the weapon he rightfully earned? Mr. Choi asks our main character to use a bit of common sense. He further states, as the head of the company, it only makes sense for them to remove our main character Julie from using the plus 99 wooden stick. There's no way we as a company can allow for a bugged item, considering the fact that you destroyed the planet and every user in it. The stick has to go. Our main character Julie stands to his feet quickly to object to such a claim of his weapon being a bugged item. I upgraded this weapon from nothing to plus 99, says Julie. Mr. Choi reminds our main character that once a weapon is upgraded to level 10, the success rate of upgrading your weapon to just the very next level is only 3%. He further states that every level upgrade after has an even slimmer chance of upgrading. He then asks if Julie is picking up what he is putting down. Julie can't believe what Mr. Choi is saying. Mr. Choi lets Julie know that considering how mathematically impossible it is to upgrade a weapon to a plus 99, it only makes sense that the item is bugged. Time to relinquish your weapon. And we're back. Chrono Life back up and running, sun shining again, and everything that was destroyed by Julie is back together in one piece. The starting ruins. A menacing growl is let out from a creature that resembles a cross-breed of a bull and a triceratops. Identified as Goris, level 21. Face to face with 4 users all with their weapons drawn and ready, Goris stampedes toward them with the ground shaking at every step. One of the users sets up her strike with the tip of her staff engulfed in flames and initiates her flaming missile attack. Bullseye! With the massive flames wrapped around the creature Goris, all that was visible was its silhouette as it screams in pain and anger. One of the other 4 users facing the beast complements the attack and deduces that one more powerful attack will surely put an end to Goris. Impatient in her strategy, another one of the users powers up her energy to make a mad dash towards Goris, causing the other users to panic. Head-to-head in close combat with a creature of this size and power is not a wise move to make. And just like that, a lesson is learned in brutal fashion. The impact is intense, Goris headbutt sends the warrior in the air above the rest of the users, as she lands violently to her defeat. That's all the other users needed to see as they witnessed their leader motionless on the ground. They scream retreat. Our main character Julie, with a front row seat to the battle, is not even fully paying attention as something seems to be bothering him. With a look of sad pup, he wonders to himself, what's next? Taking a massive bite into a turkey leg, Urus with his back against Julie asks our main character, what do you mean by what's next? Wait a minute! How is Urus still with our main character? Furthermore, how is the wooden stick still in the possession of Julie? As he stares at his wooden stick, the in-game pop-up appears stating that his weapon is still plus 99, ego ranked, and with infinite durability. How? Julie flashes back to the restaurant where he was with the chief executive of Chrono Life, Mr. Choi. After Mr. Choi stated that it only makes sense that Julie is relieved of his weapon, he states that the idea was that of the board members of the company. Mr. Choi states, even though the board wants the weapon destroyed, I am the owner of this company and have a different plan. Showing curiosity and worry at the same time, Julie asks Mr. Choi what exactly does he mean by different plan. Mr. Choi states that after careful consideration and extensive research into the database of Chrono Life, he's uncovered that the reinforcement of the wooden stick was legit. There was actually no sign of a bug detected at all, yet the board seems to feel there must be some mistake considering the odds of leveling up a weapon from nothing to the maximum. Mr. Choi's verdict goes as follows. He, nor the board will meddle in the conflicts within Chrono Life any longer. No matter if users decide to fight the strongest opponent on their first day, decide that they are going to wipe out a portion of Chrono Life's civilization, or even put an end to the existence of the planet. He states the users will decide how life is lived. With a kind gesture, offering Julie more food, Mr. Choi states that he himself has free will to select what food he wants and how it's prepared, and he wants Julie, along with all of the users of Chrono Life, to have free will to live within the virtual reality as they please. Julie accepts the gesture by Mr. Choi. As he starts to take a seat, Julie sees the head cook that Mr. Choi was raving about in terms of her traditional cooking methods, walks up behind the chief executive and molly-wops him in the back of his head as she screams out, "What's the point of all the work I put in to prepare this the right way, just so you can add ingredients to it and mess it all up?" She marches off in annoyance, causing the conversation between Julie and Mr. Choi to come to an abrupt end. Our main character flashes back to the present as he stares at his weapon, seemingly conflicted. His train of thought is interrupted by the group of users who battled against Goris, the monstrous cross-breed of a bull and dinosaur. The one user who recklessly attacked Goris head-on is being berated by the leader of the group. He yells at her, screaming, "Why in the world would you make such a costly and selfish mistake? Don't you understand that we had a plan and you messed it all up?" The leader of the group's girlfriend asks him to let up, considering she is just a rookie. He responds back and states that the rookie is the reason the mission was a failure, and she didn't follow the agreed-to-battle strategy. Julie looks down at the situation and begins to feel sorry for the rookie getting berated. He flashes back to the restaurant where he was with the chief executive. Mr. Choi tells Julie that he really is proud of the work he and his team put forward to create and build Chrono Life. The intent of the game was to provide users of a brand new experience in a virtual world of beauty, fun, and adventure. Considering that, Mr. Choi asks Julie to calm his storm and take a second to smell the flowers within the game. As our main character flashes back to the present, he sees the leader of the group of users hawk up a big loogie and spit right on the chest of the rookie. He screams out to piss off Rook and proceeds to kick her out of their game party. They all turn their back and walk away as the leader shames her for having such weak weapons. With her head down and the clearly visible in-game message stating that she has been kicked out of the party, it hits our main character Julie. Witnessing the same rejection of the rookie user he has always felt since joining Chrono Life, he thinks back to the words of Mr. Choi. Smell the flowers, have fun, take an adventure. Garbage! Our main character screams out. He tells himself, this is not a game of fun and adventure but a game of survival and power. Raising his mighty wooden stick, he proclaims that he will play the game of Chrono Life the way he wants to, and lunges with intent to take out the group of users who rejected the rookie girl. As he draws closer and closer to the group, he is interrupted midair to the sound of the rookie girl screaming that this game is trash. He stops and looks over at her, as she is having a temper tantrum, screaming out her distaste for the game, in a very similar fashion that our main character did. Almost verbatim, she screams how the group doesn't know how powerful her weapon is considering the amount she paid at the in-game store. The monologue of the rookie girl strikes a chord with our main character Julie. He flashes back to when he was in the exact position, screaming out the same thing about his weapon. The same way he was rejected by everyone, the same way he cried out his frustration with the users of this game. Letting out her final cry, the rookie girl screams out, "From now on, I won't conform to anyone's party rules and will go through Chrono Life alone." She stomps off as Julie stares down on her. As she begins to walk away, she hears the familiar menacing growl from moments ago. Goris reappears towering over the rookie. And even worse, Goris has not come alone. 10+ savage monsters, salivating as they are eyeing down their afternoon snack. As more of Goris' army appears from behind with a crowd of piercing glowing red eyes, they lunge. In unison and all sharing the same target, our rookie girl closes her eyes in fear as she can see her fate within her mind. Boom! Julie lands before the rookie girl, his weapon raised and ready. He screams out the same lame name for his attack, quote-unquote, swing. Up. Marvelous. A display of energy of this magnitude, never witnessed within the total lifespan of Chrono Life's existence. And yet in the span of a few days, this world had witnessed this display of power many times over till its destruction hours ago. As the smoke clears from the aftermath of his attack, our rookie girl, unaware of what just occurred as she is still shelled up and eyes clenched tight. She no longer hears the stampede of monsters running her way. She opens her eyes to see, the clouds parted exactly where Julie sent Goris' army through the sky and our main character Julie standing by her side. He gazes at her, and tries to make sense of his decision to intervene. It would make sense considering everything she just went through completely mirrors his experience prior to getting his wooden stick. Speaking to himself, he justifies his decision to intervene by stating the opportunity to smash Goris and his army looked too good to pass up. Sure, Julie, sure. Her body standing defensive and clinched, yet her face calm and blushing in amazement. Our main character Julie breaks the fourth wall and speaks to us, the viewer, and states that we have reached the conclusion of the prelude. As the story continues, the rookie girl staring into our main character's eyes, with loss for words, Julie proceeds to ask the girl with his chest out and confident if she would want to join him. Julie once again breaks the fourth wall to tell us, here and now, is where the real story begins. Waiting for the girl's response if she wants to join him, Julie gets an answer he wasn't quite ready for. Flipping him the bird, which seems like every user's go-to way of rejecting someone, she is deliberate with her words and lets our main character Julie know that she would never play alongside a rook. She turns her back and begins to walk away as she spits onto the grass, almost as if Julie's offer somehow entered her mouth. What just happened? Our main character thinks, as he doesn't take the rejection as hard as he would have in the past. Another day gone, another beautiful day to come within Chrono Life. With all the users returning, it's only natural that everyone is curious as to who, how, and why was the planet destroyed. Hotter than the latest celebrity gossip, everyone glued to their phones with the most trending news to ever come across any of Chrono Life's threads. The world was talking about the infamous destruction of the world and referred to that day as Doomsday. Even the world's biggest gaming bloggers were collaborating to get to the bottom of what truly happened on Doomsday. With headlines all over, ranging from SS-ranked god player to genocidal maniac. The one view that everyone was in agreement with was that whoever this person was, he is now deemed the mightiest player in Chrono Life. Some bloggers claim that his power must be derived from a cheat or a glitch within the system. Some bloggers counter that stance by stating whether the player cheated or not, there is no way one player can eliminate 3 million of the world's strongest soldiers. More and more people lean towards the idea of this, quote-unquote, strongest player being a cheater. With that in mind, many of the world's users reach out to Chrono Life customer support to report our main character for being a cheat. Something needs to be done to stop this cheater, was the common thread of complaints. An in-game message appears before each and every user addressing all the complaints that were submitted. Bloggers wait in anticipation, thinking this is going to be the end of this rotten cheat. As the in-game message continues, to many people's surprise, the message states that the investigation of the user who destroyed all of Chrono Life's users is complete. The verdict: innocent. As we're back in Chrono Life, many of the users in the main hub discuss the verdict and offer their opinions on what exactly happened. With Julie's wanted sign posted all over, it still does not display his head completely as he is pictured with the hooded cloak. But either way, our main character is officially infamous. Back at the starting ruins, Julie seems almost as if he is in a state of bliss. Tailing behind the rookie girl is Urus and our main character, as she is starting to fume. She turns back to confront Julie, demanding to know why he is following her. Showing a complete lack of awareness, our main character Julie answers the girl, stating he is under the impression that they have joined up to go on a game mission. She screams out, "False." She further states that she would never team up with a low-level rookie. Shocked at her claim, he asks her why would she think he is some low-level rook. She points out that he is wearing nothing but underwear and a robe, not to mention that he is wielding the free wooden stick that is given to every player when they begin their journey in Chrono Life. As she quote-unquote drops the mic and turns to walk away, our main character is a bit flustered as to why she would think such a thing, considering he destroyed Gorus and his army with a single blow. Urus states to our main character that the rookie girl was shelled up with her eyes closed, and that she has no idea that it was our main character who killed off all the monsters before her. It hits our main character as he watches the rookie walk away, that if she has no idea who he is or what he is capable of, he can finally live the life of the unassuming normal player who is secretly an overpowered badass. Wasting no time, Julie runs towards the rookie girl and screams out to get her attention. In a very humble manner, our main character Julie asks the girl if she can help him level up. For context, if a low-level player is to team up with a higher-ranked player and complete missions, this will allow the low-level player to gain experience points to level up. Confused and annoyed as to why he would even make such a request, considering she has already told him she wants nothing to do with him. Considering our main character Julie can read this rookie girl like a book, since he was in her exact position just days ago, he states that he could really use the help considering she is a pro. The statement hits her hard. Almost in a trance. A pro? She has never been called a pro. She was literally just spitted on and kicked out by another group in brutal fashion just moments ago. The compliment is going straight to her head and our main character knows it. Urus, on the other hand, does not understand the reasoning for his master to play weak. Our main character explains to Urus that if he is to live this lifestyle of the normal guy with secret power, he's got to play the part and act like a rook. Urus remembers when his master was talking about that days back. As she loudly lets out her frustration, she explains that she really does not have time to be helping a rook. She then states, however, since I am a pro and all, I guess it's only right she helps out a rookie in need. She then introduces herself and lets our main character know her name is Love. And right on cue, an in-game message appears before Julie stating that Love has officially invited him to her group. Entering the starting dungeon by the front village, Love wastes no time getting into another mission as she finds herself in a battle. Her battle cry is loud as she is going toe-to-toe with giant-sized mutated rabbits. She is quite fierce as she delivers a blow causing her foe to spit blood from its mouth. Chrono Life identifies the enemies as level 4 bunny bears. As she knocks one of the bunny bears out cold, from behind her is another bunny bear looking to get the jump on her. She jumps high into the air as she evades the attack. The bunny bear misses its strike and punches a hole into the ground. She knows she barely evaded the attack and knows it's time to go on the offensive hard. Flipping high into the air above the creatures, she raises her leg high into the air getting ready to unleash a damaging blow, and the bunny bears see it coming like a deer in the headlights. She summons her falling dragon strike as the energy from the strike appears in the menacing form of a dragon, and the blow strikes perfectly, and instantly kills one of the bunny bears. She poses in her fight stance with a boost of confidence knowing as a quote-unquote pro, she has to show the rookie how things are done. As Urus and our main character Julie sit back and watch the show before them, Julie actually admits that Love actually seems pretty talented. He further states that even if they are low-level monsters, facing that many at one time could still prove to be costly. Urus looks over at Love and lets his master know that even though she is outnumbered, her game items are actually quite good. Julie asks Urus to elaborate. Urus states that her battle glove alone is worth 10 million game points, which is worth 8,000 real dollars. Urus further states that if he adds up all her items, she has 100 million game points, which is $80,000 of real-world money spent. As they watch on, our main character wonders out loud if she earned all that from gameplay. Urus says it is clear as day. She has got to be a rich rookie considering she is not high-leveled, so there is no way she could have earned her items. They were bought. Julie flashes back to when Love got kicked out of the group and when he saw and heard Love screaming to herself that the group members know nothing about the power of her items. As Julie is thinking what would possess someone to spend that insane amount of money on a game, Love rushes over, screams out, "Hey tidy whities," and startles our main character wondering why she is yelling. She further screams, "What in the world are you just sitting there for? You asked to join me, so at least use that little wooden stick and make yourself useful." Nervous as Julie, he stutters as he asks, "You want me to use my wooden stick to fight?" Her annoyance building, she states in an obvious manner that the only way he is going to get better and not stay at his lowly rookie level is to get out there and actually work. As she continues to berate him, she is completely oblivious to one of the bunny bears ready to attack her from behind. With her head down and eyes closed in frustration at how lazy her new protege seems to be, Julie slickly strikes the monster behind her, letting off a massive amount of energy and destroying the monster. Unaware of what just happened as her eyes were closed, she asks herself out loud, where did that rush of wind come from? Julie thinks to himself, wow, that was close. As an in-game message appears for Love from someone in the real world, she reads the message as she is obviously upset about it. She informs our main character that she needs to log out. Showing concern on his face, our main character Julie asks why she needs to leave. She answers back stating he does not need to worry as she will be back soon. She further states that the only thing he needs to worry about is getting some practice fighting these monsters. And in a flash, she's gone. Both Urus and our main character wonder why she was in such a rush to leave after she got her message. More importantly, how in the world could this girl afford all the items she has? What could she possibly do for a living that she has $80,000 lying around to spend on a game? Back in the real world, looking onto a massive venue, on the other side of the performer's waiting room lies the rookie girl, Love. Just having logged out of Chrono Life, Love takes off her headset as she is back in reality, where it seems to be a rather lush lifestyle for her, evidenced by her pricey Gucci t-shirt. Beautiful, and a lot less intimidating looking, she stares at her headset and flashes back to the recent events that just occurred. She sees our main character Julie chasing after her, a face full of optimism, and though initially annoyed, he's made her feel special, and that brings a smile to her face. Her flashback is short-lived as a grown woman pushes through her door and immediately berates Love, demanding to know why she chooses to spend so much time invested in some virtual reality. The grown woman asks, "Are you choosing a game over your actual career?" This draws anger out of both the ladies, shouting insults at each other. The grown woman, displaying obvious anxiety, tells Love to get a move on as they only have 10 minutes left. Love replies and tells the grown woman to calm down, which prompts the woman to go into a tirade screaming that, while Love obsesses over Chrono Life, that she is having to work her tail off. Love immediately apologizes and thanks the grown woman for all of her outstanding work. The woman annoyingly accepts the apology and instructs Love to have a seat in front of the vanity mirror. From lipstick to eyeshadow and an array of foundation and concealers, the woman is keen on removing any indents from the VR goggles Love wears all day. The woman gets to work and proceeds to get Love all dolled up and hair ready to go. But for what exactly? Stage lights brighter than the sun, we find ourselves at the world's largest singing competition. As the announcer introduces the final performance, the crowd roars as they await the first-place singer for a record-breaking 13 weeks in a row. Coming to the stage, a generational talent and absolute megastar, Sarang Han. The crowd hears her name and erupts. And would you know it, it's our rookie girl, Love, whose real name is Sarang. Absolutely captivating. Someone of her status, just so happens to be a gaming junkie. Back to Chrono Life, where our main character is easily dismantling the bunny bears, he takes a second to stretch his striking arm. He tells Urus while Love is logged out, this would make the perfect time to train. Urus, seeing more of the bunny bears approaching, he asks Julie, what exactly does he mean by training? Julie replies in a cocky manner, that he needs to train to appear as a rook. And as he stares down the oncoming bunny bears, he looks over at Urus and states, this will be the opportunity he needs to practice not killing his foes with just a single strike. Because we know how that goes. Far out beyond the planet's atmosphere appears the eyeless god with what appears to be a front-row seat to Julie's battle. Not only is it odd that he is able to see everything considering he has no eyes, but he is also able to hear them from that distance as well. Is he a god? The eyeless god speaks out loud of Julie's plan to appear as a rook, then in a weird turn of events the eyeless god asks out loud, what do you think of the plan? Mother. With no one else in sight, who is he speaking to? If he is a god, then what does that make his mother, the sun behind him? An invisible spirit? Or even the universe? As we return to the real world where Sarang, also known as Love in Chrono Life, just completed her performance in the largest singing competition across the globe. Aside from her being this massive icon, she is just 17 years of age and in her last year of school. Yet there she is, on the world's biggest stage, being interviewed after rocking the arena with her hit song. Her performance scores her another first-place ranking for now the 14th week in a row. The interviewer asks Sarang, how is she able to produce hit song after hit song, all of which leave lasting impacts to those who are lucky enough to hear it? She blushes at all the compliments thrown into the question and answers back stating that she is nothing but a homebody who enjoys reading heartwarming tales. The interviewer, surprised to hear that Sarang prefers to stay home and read fairy tales, asks if by any chance she draws inspiration from what she reads. She answers back, maybe a bit too transparent, and slips out that her manager probably won't be too thrilled that Sarang decided to disclose that during the interview. She laughs it off with an innocence, and both the interviewer and the crowd are shocked at how down-to-earth she is. As we discover that the grown woman is indeed Sarang's manager, she sits back and watches the interview, and immediately can see right through her client. The manager says to herself that Sarang sure knows how to appear different than what she actually is. Considering she doesn't read a thing, she is just a chrono-life addict in her free time. The interviewer asks Sarang, with your music career taking off to new heights and just being cast in a new movie, is it true that you will be using profanity in your new role? She answers and states that she will be indeed, and that it is taking a toll on her because she quote-unquote has never used profane words. Then stares off, displaying the most innocent of looks as the interview comes to an end. She is back in chrono life, no longer Sarang, but her game name Love. And would you know it? She is cursing up a storm at Julie, which is funny considering she just stated she has never used profanity while on her interview. Kicking him right in the ass and demanding his compliance to her authority, Ju begins to ask, when exactly did they state that she holds authority over him? Before he can get the full question out, she screams out her reply stating, starting now, I am the master, you scrub. She continues to berate our main character, and it is clear to see that Love uses chrono life to let off her frustration, hence her feisty attitude. As Urus, seemingly unentertained watching this smackdown take place, he asks his master Julie, why exactly again are you acting weak? Ju replies stating that it is the only way he can live out the lifestyle of the unassuming overpowered persona. Love screams out her order demanding Julie, or as she calls him, Tidy Whities, to repeat after her. Master Love, and Julie complies repeating the statement with his back straight and head high. Urus is completely embarrassed as he thinks to himself that his master is taking this lifestyle of the unassuming overpowered guy much too far. As they get started heading into a cave entrance, Love, seemingly more calm after releasing her stress via her tirade, asks Julie if he did as he was told before she logged out and practiced defeating monsters. He replies that he did indeed practice, but thinks to himself, just didn't practice what she told him. Urus, still not completely on board with this faking to be weak, he states to his master that there is no point in practicing to be weak and honestly a waste of time. Julie whispers for him to shut it up. Love laughing off Julie's claim of practicing while she was gone, she tells him, let's see what your quote-unquote practicing has done for you, Rook. She then realizes that she doesn't know Julie's name, and asks him what his name is within Chrono Life. As he is about to reply, she cuts him off and laughingly tells him that she is just going to keep referring to him as Tidy Whities. Brutal. They continue on their path into the cave as they are unaware that they are being watched by a group of men in hooded cloaks, their apparent leader with glowing red eyes leading the pack. The leader of the pack confirms to the group that Love is indeed the one that they seek, and there she is. As the group awaits for further instructions, the leader of the pack thinks to himself, it might be best to gather more soldiers to take on Love. He then guarantees that tonight, they will get vengeance. Popping up right before Julie and Love, roars another bunny bear. This bunny bear, however, is more than 5 times stronger than the other bunny bears that were level 4s. Love, recognizing this amazing opportunity to see what her protege can do after getting some practice in, demands him to take on the bunny bear head-on. He complies and makes a mad dash for his foe. Ready to take his shot against the monster, he remembers he's got to make sure he does not blow his cover by easily killing the bunny bear. His nerves building and body obviously trembling, the monster looks down at Julie as if he is trying to say, "Are you serious?" The lightest possible contact takes place, with just the tip of a strand of fur touching the wooden stick. The impact devastating. As the bunny bear is losing consciousness, it thinks, how was that possible? Crashing down into the ground violently with blood pouring out of its mouth, its health meter was down to its final %. Shocked that he was able to strike the beast and not kill it, he smiles ear to ear knowing he can hold back his strength enough to live out his persona. Love gives our main character praise that he was able to take down the best in one blow, as Urus is obviously over all of this. In a flash, there is a dagger flying in full speed towards Julie and Love. Love, displaying high awareness, quickly grabs our main character to get him out of the way of the incoming dagger, and kicks it right back in the direction it came from. Just so happens to land right in the hand of the leader of the pack as it appears he wasn't quick enough to catch his dagger before cutting his face. As the leader of the pack puts his dagger away and gives a backhanded compliment to Love, stating, "Nice counter considering the high-priced items you have." With her hand still gripping Julie's cloak, she demands to know who the dagger-wielding man is. As the group all stare down Love and Julie, the leader sarcastically yells to Love that he is surprised that she does not remember him. The group members spread out, and all of their game names appears above them. They are all part of the Halcyon Guild. She remembers now and displays her shock. Smiling at his target, the leader of the Halcyon Guild orders the group to attack. They comply and all lunge in unison with their weapons drawn. Love looks back at Julie and tells him to stay back as this fight is going to be dangerous for a rook like him. In her battle stance, she assesses the threat before her. She sees her opening. Pivoting off the ball of her foot, she lands a devastating roundhouse kick, knocking the tooth out of her first foe. Quickly leapfrogging off the side of his head, Love leaps high into the air above the Halcyon Guild and screams out her patented falling dragon strike. The attack sent the members of the guild flying in different directions. Urus and our main character sit back again and spectate as the battle wages on. The two wondering why exactly this fight is taking place, Julie tells Urus that considering the sequence of events that led to this moment, he deduces that the Halcyon Guild and Love have battled many times before, with Love always getting the better of them. He states the leader is just too stubborn to give up. Urus agrees with his master's theory as they look over at all the wounded members of the guild laid before them. The two making fun of the guild for being so weak considering Love just became a level 20 and all of them are still taking losses. Oddly enough, the leader of the guild observes the chaos with somewhat of a smile. Even stranger is what appears to be an eyeless elf beside watching on. The leader tells the eyeless elf that this is exactly what he was hoping for. Seeing Love distracted fighting off the members, the leader instructs the elf to now make her attack. She complies quickly and pulls up behind Love with incredible speed. The eyeless elf draws her hand out towards Love and casts a summoning spell of some sort. A bright glow illuminates the cave, blinding Love for a second. When she gains her sight back, she sees that her pricey battle gloves are no longer on her hands. Looking back towards the eyeless elf, Love sees her gloves in her hands as the elf compliments her brand new accessory. Examining the gloves, the elf realizes that they are the Knuckles of Silence, one of the most expensive items in all of Chrono Life, and screams out to Love stating how rich she must be to have such an item. Our main character Julie stares off in shock as he asks Urus how exactly was the elf able to get Love's Knuckles of Silence. Urus explains to his master that the summoning spell the elf casted is a spell learned by the thief class. Urus also points out how oddly powerful that display of the spell was considering it usually is a strong attack. Our main character brushes off Urus' concerns and sits comfortably stating that he has nothing of value worth stealing. Urus gives our main character a couple of seconds to figure out the danger of this attack. It's starting to hit Julie as he looks over at his wooden stick. Ding ding, it finally gets through to him, causing him to pop up to his feet and getting the attention of Love and the eyeless elf. He knows what he must do, so he runs away towards the exit of the cave. As the enemies look towards Julie, the leader tells the elf that our main character is of no concern considering he looks like a hobo with nothing of value. Seemingly staring at our main character even though she has no eyes, the elf sees things a bit different than the leader does. She tosses the Knuckles of Silence towards the leader as if they were cheap trinkets and points out to him as Julie is running away that what excites her the most is not stealing from the haves, but taking from the have-nots. She displays her speed again as she appears before Julie and stops him in his tracks. In a flirtatious manner, she refers to him as handsome and asks him, why in a rush? She draws out her arm again, the same way she did when she cast the summoning spell on Love. Julie knowing what's at stake, he knows he can't play weak with the risk of losing his mighty weapon. With a firm grip and bad intentions, Julie strikes quickly and fiercely. The usual destruction that accompanies the use of the plus 99 wooden stick has not come. As Love, the Halcyon Guild, and Urus stare off into the settling smoke cloud with the silhouette of Julie clear, there is something wrong with this picture. With his right hand empty and his weapon nowhere in sight, the eyeless elf smiling and unscathed, looks upon our main character with a sinister look and claims to Ju Li, "Your little weapon now belongs to me."